Hi folks, it's Kelvin here. We run Coach for Leeds and surrounding areas as well as online coaching. In this little video, I'm going to share some thoughts on fatigue resistance. And what I mean by fatigue resistance is teaching the body to be able to push later on in harder workouts and races. And there's a physiological and a psychological element to this. And the way that we do this is kind of common sense, really. Towards the end of like harder workouts and longer runs, in some way we finish stronger. And the psychological positives from this is just giving people confidence that they can still push later on in events, because training runs aren't going to be as demanding as the event. So adding some speed towards the end is going to be very achievable but tough. So gives that sort of confidence, also gets us used to that feeling of how tough it's going to be towards the end of an event. And from a physiological standpoint, what we're doing is we're actually pre-fatiguing the body. So we're fatiguing our slow twitch muscle fibers, which we predominantly use whilst we're running. And then when we run faster, we're actually forcing fast twitch muscle fibers to work in a similar way to slow twitch muscle fibers. So we're training the fast twitch muscle fibers that we don't always use until very, very late in events, when the motor units that control the slow twitch muscle fibers have all started to shut down, and we have to bring in kind of faster twitch muscle fibers that are not used to working in this way. And that's sometimes why late on in events, the legs can feel quite flat and heavy. And that's because the muscle fibers that we're using, the pool of fibers that we're drawing from, are slightly different. So that's the sort of why we do it. So let's have a little look at how we do it. So what we might do, if we think about runs with either stronger finishes or finishing reps strong, so we might do something like a 50-50 where we do like half of a run quite easy and half of the run tempo. We might do a progression run where we cut down maybe from, marathon pace to half marathon pace to 10K pace. We might do, today I've actually done a sort of 5 mile, push quite hard on a 5 mile hilly trail run that I'd normally use as a separate workout. And then after that, I popped my road shoes on straight away and did sort of, 2 times 1 mile at sort of tempo. So I was just adding something different where my legs are turning over a little bit faster onto the end of that. A classic is to adapt marathon pace with some thresholds. So, like a classic marathon session where someone might be doing 3 times 3 miles. At the end of each one of those miles, without an extra break, we might add something like half a mile of threshold. So it's 3 miles of marathon pace and then half a mile of threshold. Times 3, and we might do that off 3 or 4 minutes recovery depending on the individual. Another way of doing it, some people like to do things like hill sprints. So after a sort of maybe an easier longer run, they might do 6 to 8 times 1 minute hills at kind of threshold. We're not trying to sort of pulse in a VO2 max stimulus at the end, but something that's pretty strong, but it's not savage, so we don't risk injury when we're on tired legs. And what this will help us to do is stay strong and feel a little bit faster and fresher towards the end of longer events and races. So I hope that makes some sort of sense, and if you've got any questions, please pop them in the comments below. And for now, happy running!